From Rich Alvarez in Northern California, this is Video Game Fights. And now your host, Rich Alvarez.
Welcome to Video Game Fights. I am not Rich Alvarez. Your beautiful and beloved host sits to my left. He will be competing in tonight's episode. We have a 1v1 special with Garrett Allen and Richard Michael Alvarez.
That's
Introduce
right.
yourself.
Well, after Garrett has won twice already, you've played 3 times, you've won twice, I thought it was time to actually step in and play this guy because, just gotta, put him back in his place a little bit.
It's not fair. It's not fair.
Also, there have been some really great questions, every time I'm like, oh, damn, I wish I could answer this one. I wish this one I could answer. And, I really needed to get in there. But now, the belt is off, or whatever they say, the gloves are off.
The gloves are off.
The belt is off so I can be as fat as I want.
The gut is out.
Nails pulled back, they're about to kiss.
Derek is your judge tonight, so I can be as salty as I feel necessary. You got anything to say for yourself, Garrett?
Welcome to the goddamn Thunderdome. That's what I got to say.
I was about to say welcome to the effing show.
Yeah, right. Here we go. That being said, I am so grateful for the opportunity of being the opponent for the first one. I am really just find so titillating the idea of throwing you down on your own show. I mean that's just a big old hard on for me. But as you also know, what is my biggest contribution to this show, and that is generally overhyping myself as a person.
Wow.
That's really my role here. So
well, with that being said, the belts are off.
Belts are off.
We got a titillating discussion. Garrett's rocking a hard on.
Belts are off, guys.
It's gonna be fun.
Pants are coming off.
Of course, to make it more fair as far as the judging goes, since I don't have the almighty power and authority that Rich Alvarez does, I will be having the assistance of the lovely Jax on our fat cam. Say hi, Jax.
Hi guys, I'm here too.
you have to speak louder than that.
Oh, even louder? All right. Let me get
Just a little.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I am here too.
Yes,
That's
perfect.
dope.
Hey.
That's dope.
That sounded great. Well,
If you speak any louder, you might not sound that happy. It might be hello.
It takes a lot out of me to be this loud.
Oh man.
all right. Well, with that being said, guys, are you ready for the first question?
But first, I would like to give a special thanks to our sponsor, Pepsi, but not really since they didn't sponsor this. Hashtag not sponsored. Hashtag wish we were sponsored.
He's been drinking it under the table the entire time.
Yeah, under the table, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Whee! All right, Derek.
All right. Well, that being said, just a summary on the rules again for everybody in case you did not know. We have 5 rounds, the first 5 rounds before we go into our speed round. Each one of those questions, they have gotten the question prior to coming out today, so they already have their answers, and they have 2 minutes. 2 minutes to best describe why they think their answer is the most correct. Rich, how long is the rebuttal time?
Rebuttal time for when we're arguing?
Yeah.
That's unlimited.
That's an unlimited.
Yeah.
That is until you are confident in your decision.
Yep, and then we move into a free-for-all until I feel comfortable.
Okay.
But with that being said, are you guys ready? We're starting off with Rich. We're starting at the far end of the table for the first question.
Ooh, okay.
Sounds good. Pressure's on me.
Simple question. Who's the best video game voice actor?
The best video game voice actor is, without a doubt, Nolan North. He is the best. You may have heard of such characters as Desmond Miles, the main character of the Assassin's Creed games, the Penguin from the Arkham City Arkham Knight games, the engineer from Team Fortress 2, Ghost from Destiny, Edward from Call of Duty Black Ops, and of course, Nathan Drake of Uncharted, the most prolific character of the last 20 years, probably. All voiced by Nolan North, of course. He has won multiple BTVA awards, including the for The Last of Us, Transformers Prime Beast Hunters, Arkham City, and he just won Best Performance in any video game at the for Uncharted 4 at the Game Awards. And let me tell you something, this guy is like the Robert De Niro of video games. He's like, hey, I'm Nolan North. You talking to me? You talking to me? No, he doesn't actually talk like that. That's Robert De Niro. But my point is, this guy literally steps into any video game of any genre, and he can turn. This man is like Mozart with his voice. He just makes you believe that he's this character. Other, I'll be talking in a second about a certain other voice actor. Some voice actors are really good with their articulation and their diction and bring a lot of life to a character. But Nolan North, he breathes life into these characters. He makes you believe that these are the actual characters from whatever media that they're based on. In the case of an original thing like Uncharted, you just, at this point, you cannot imagine Uncharted without the voice of Nolan North. If Nathan Drake had any other voice, it would be stupid at this point. And, it's like when they switched voice actors for Snake, when it became, when it was Kiefer Sutherland instead of David Hayter, it's like, nah, no good. It's just the same thing. Nolan North is Nathan Drake. Nathan Drake is the best character of the last 20 years, and he's just the best voice actor. This guy has done over 300 voices in video games. He is the man. And that's all the time I need, sir.
That's perfect, because that's all the time you have.
Okay.
With that being said, Garrett Allen, who's the best video game voice actor?
I'm going for a little bit of an unusual one, but we're going with Steve Blum. Because in and amongst there's kind of a typecast elite of the voice acting world, but in and amongst that there's a handful of really, really distinct worker bee types, and I would put Steve Blum very much ahead of them. I mean, Steve Blum totes almost 700 credits throughout his voice acting career across a whole spectrum of different medias. That's intense, and his repertoire includes a whole slew of very, very distinct titles: Call of Duty, Final Fantasy 15, the Halo series, Old Republic, Arkham, dozens more as other characters, as it were. Now, that being said, he's very much somebody who has explored every edge of a voice, sort of role. He's been on the mainstay. He's been on the backside. He's very much been somebody who, but here's really his kicker is the idea that he has a presence in so many different canons. And moreover, he's very much somebody who is voicing the NPCs, the more underappreciated types, the ones that are blending into the background, those ones that you wouldn't even know are ever there. He's definitely one of those voice actors that you don't get into because he's contributed so much to the building of the worlds. He's that person that you look past, and is because he's laying the emotional foundation. He's back out of the way, and he's a voice that we have literally all heard without knowing it. Every single one of us has been involved in situations where Steve Blum has voiced a character or voiced several characters within canons, and to us it's person passing on the street and whatnot. He's very much somebody who has filled in the cracks of almost every single major video game series that's been out there. And I think that's a deeply underappreciated role because, outside of, like the 8 or 9 people that are really holding down the mainstay. Oh, shoot, there we go.
That's very good. That was 2 minutes. It's the same 2 minutes everybody else gets. But with that being said, I have one question for each of you, and then I'm going to let you fight. What is any other character Nolan North has voiced?
Oh, so like he was the Penguin in the Arkham City game, okay. Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum, and he was the engineer in Team Fortress 2, and Edward in Call of Duty Black Ops, and he is the main character of Assassin's Creed, which is Desmond Miles. That's like his other big prolific one. Perfect. Aside from probably
Garrett. Same question.
What, other than all the ones that I named? But Call of Duty, Final Fantasy 15, Halo.
We are being tested.
Who up there in Call of Duty?
Oh, Call of Duty wasn't necessarily a big one, but and that's sort of the point of Steve Blum, is he's in the background. He doesn't play a lot of main characters. He fills in the cracks. That's the whole argument.
But you don't have like a Penguin role style.
No. Steve Blum isn't a primary dude. That's kind of that's the whole argument. That's the idea. Is he's a secondary, or okay. he's a backdrop filler to literally everything.
Defend yourself.
Okay, let's go.
Hey Garrett, how's it going?
It's going good. Hey.
First of all, listen. I gotta say off the bat, I love Steve Blum. He's like one of my all-time favorite people. And had the question been who's the best anime voice actor, I don't think it would have even been a contest that it's Steve Blum. However, talking specifically video games, I have to say that, yeah, it's true, and I even have it in my notes. Steve Blum is like mostly credited as additional voices for almost every one of his video game projects.
Like upwards of 80% of them. That's more or less the kicker.
He has done a couple of pretty good ones, but I mean, like, if we're, Steve Blum, the first thing that comes to mind is like Spike from Cowboy Bebop, which is his greatest thing he ever did.
Yeah.
And he is Ocho.
Unfortunately, we were denied that game.
Yeah. It's just, there's so many other good voice. I mean, to me, like, Nolan North is the best, and then, there's Diet Coke Nolan North, which is Troy Baker.
Yeah, I know, right? Which is interesting. In my research, I saw that a lot of sites actually rank him as higher.
Troy Baker.
Yeah, Troy Baker is
the Diet Coke Nolan North. Let's just get that out. I mean, he's done Joel.
Don't you kind of feel like though that if you could sum up more chronologically, you could sum up Nolan North's career as like some things happened and then Nathan Drake. And then a whole bunch of things that were essentially Nathan Drake, and the whole. He's very much suffered from that thing that a lot of like big prolific characters do. You bust onto the scene with like your Luke Skywalker or your equivalent, and then you're that person forever.
Well, I definitely agree that Nolan North is his biggest character, but this guy has done so many other big. He was literally
the mocap. For Nathan Drake. He's literally Nathan Drake.
He is Nathan Drake, and he looks like him too.
And
just a little bit,
you can hear it.
Looking.
Anybody who's played Uncharted, you can hear it in his other roles. He's a lot of his category is very much like, oh, I'm misfit adventurer, or I'm edgy misfit adventurer. It's misfit adventurer and like another adjective.
Yeah, but for me personally, and again, I love Steve Blum, but when it comes to video games, aside from Nolan North, Troy Baker, I mean, Charles Martinet also comes to mind. Of course, he did Mario, and he was Parthenax, and in Skyrim, Parthenax, which is something that nobody ever thinks of him for anymore. But
that was a good one.
That was a good one for me.
He was on the list. I almost picked him.
But
I love Parthenax.
Yeah, you got to go through like 20 guys before I think of Steve Blum as a video game.
But Steve Blum has this immense range.
Okay. Sounds like a decision has been made.
You have made some beautiful points, everybody, but before I continue on, I would love to send it over to
Jax Cam
for some facts.
Hi guys, I have no facts. Everyone was really good.
Do you side one way or the other? That's a personal
Oh
question.
gosh, it's just.
You're gonna have to do that tonight, and I will judge you for it.
No threatening the fact.
We did not make that a rule.
They're both They're both so great, and you both really did really well of arguing your sides. So I see why there's the third person. So there's one person that's just like not as good as everyone else.
Where's Lynetta tonight?
Yeah, right.
Well, good news.
Sorry, Nick.
I really hope you're not watching.
Despite her indecision,
You have a decision.
it is very clear to me.
Okay.
The first one goes to Rich Alvarez, only for the argument that he brought up and then you supported, which was, yeah, but then he was this one character and then that's been him ever since. Him and everybody else who is touted as a good actor, voice actor in their industry. Steve Blum.
Is that good though?
Steve Blum has had 700 tries to get that role. And as much as I appreciate it, maybe that's just his type of person. When we're looking at the best video game voice actor, it has to be Nolan North.
That's an interesting point.
Yay, I win!
I can support that.
Hi, White Cam.
I really,
White Cam.
I gotta say, straight out the gate, like, Rich is already a leg up from our regular competitor. So, I'm glad that...
Oh, I have notes, my friend.
I know you have notes. It looks like a fourth grader wrote them.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
And Rich gets one. All right.
Excellent.
Woo! Fake applause. Fake applause.
Well, next question.
All right.
Starting with Garrett this time.
Okay.
What is the best video game quote?
I want you to know straight off before you start the time that I struggled with this question more than I have struggled with almost any other question that has been out there. But
this was a tough one.
I know, this was a tough one. So the quote, and I quote, is "Stand in the ashes of a trillion dead souls and ask them if honor matters. The silence is your answer," which quite famously was spoken in Mass Effect 3. So that's an awesome quote. And I think it is a really defining moment, for a lot of reasons. It's a very defining moment in the series. It's spoken at the apex of basically all of this coming together and a lot, pretty much the galaxy rallying together under the cause that, like, they might not make it. There's very much that point in the story where everyone's like, do do we get out of here? You know, that whole sort of thing. And that's a quote that really, really sums it up. Not only that, I love the idea that that's a quote that flies so hard in the face of kind of the traditional hero's journey. The idea that, like, here's an idea that we romanticize this idea of, like, yeah, well, you know, a hero came by and he did things the right way, and, you know, he came out on top because, you know, that's just the way that the galaxy works. And here's a quote that steps in and really brings out the idea that, like, no, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's about survival, and history is going to be written by the winner. And if that's not us, we will be extinguished and forgotten, and worse, even more. So I think that's really, really intense, and just not something you hear in a lot of narratives. It's not something you hear. It's very real. It's based in a gritty, nihilistic reality, and it's not something you hear in a lot of video game media, which tends to romanticize the hero's journey. So I think it stands alone in that context and is very defining.
Okay.
And Rich, same question to you. What is the best video game quote?
The best quote of all time in any video game is, "Snake, did you like my sunglasses?" From Metal Gear Solid 1997 on the PS1. And here's why. Let's take a trip back in memory lane. 1987 on the NES, the very first Metal Gear game, just called Metal Gear, came out and introduced us to the character of Solid Snake, a subordinate for Big Boss, the leader of this special secret service operation that Snake was a part of. And he had to destroy Metal Gear at the end of the game. Fast forward 10 years, the 10th anniversary, Metal Gear Solid, the first 3D game in the series, and we learned that there's another Snake, Liquid Snake, who looks just like Solid Snake. Why? We learned throughout the course of the game that Liquid Snake is actually a clone of Big Boss, and that Solid Snake was actually a clone of Big Boss this entire time. Now, the significance of this line, you wonder? Well, Snake had a master when he was younger, Master Miller, who taught him everything that Snake knows. During the entire game, you talk to Master Miller on your codec, which is a communication device that Snake has in his ear and his eye so that only he can hear and see who he's talking to on the codec. So you're talking to Master Miller and he's like, "Snake, it's Master Miller. Remember me from back in the day?" "Now, Snake, if you want to get the code card, you got to go down." He basically tells you how to play the entire game. And then, about 20 minutes before the end of the game, he's like, "Oh, Snake!" As you're destroying Metal Gear, he's like, "Wait, it's not being destroyed. What's going on? Master Miller, what's going on?" It's like, "Oh, Snake, you don't realize. It's been me the entire time." "What? Who have I been talking to?" "You've been talking to," glasses off, "me, dear brother." You were actually talking to Liquid Snake the entire time. You thought that he was helping you destroy Metal Gear, when the whole time he was telling you how to turn Metal Gear on. You go outside of the room, you turn the corner, and there's Liquid Snake for the first time standing in front of you. The first time he's actually been physically in front of Snake, and he says, "Snake, did you like my sunglasses?" Because Master Miller wears sunglasses, and so he reveals to you right there that it was Liquid Snake, and you just feel like a dumbass, and now you just have to kill him and Metal Gear to end the game. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other cool stuff. Yeah, Snake learns the full truth of his clonage and everything, but that's not really important to this twist. This twist had Metal Gear Solid's biggest star, Solid Snake, fooled, and you fooled as the player, and you played right into the enemy's hands, you fool.
No question.
I love these shows.
Fight!
Oh man, I love these shows with Rich. The animation is off the chain. That being said, that was a really good moment in gaming. It was a phenomenal twist. But just, do you like my sunglasses?
I could have also used it for the other category, too.
That's what I was saying.
That's what I was going to say. In fact, the one you picked for the other category is categorically very similar in terms of the type of reveal it is.
Better, but here, let me tell you something. Your quote essentially means that death is meaningless, or worse, trivial. If you stand in the ashes of your dead grandfather and ask if he loves you, you will also hear nothing. That quote is bullshit from a bullshit game with a bullshit ending. And adding even more to that, if
I'm gonna let him finish.
Someone who spent 50,000 years in stasis, we're talking about Yavik here from Mass Effect 3. He spent 50,000 years in stasis. He's gonna be a little crazy, all right. But what is his ultimate goal in that game? His ultimate game,
he can't.
He wants vengeance on the Reapers that destroyed his entire species. And if that's not, if that's not in the name of honor and justice, then what is? He is a huge hypocrite, and that game is just terrible. He's terrible. His quote is terrible. And
Okay, Okay,
It's all terrible.
No. So you're gonna tell me that like his stab at a very existential quandary, like literally the nature of warfare, the nature of his vendetta against the Reapers, the nature of the galaxy's whole predicament. He sums it up in a few sentences, just in the other idea that like here we are toting this mantra, toting this sort of goodwill win, and it's fucking bullshit. And we gotta like drive it. I can let you talk.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, fine.
That
Go
being
ahead.
said, yeah. So. Like he brings up this whole idea that good will inherently triumph over evil, and he stuffs it out, and it's this idea that we got to play dirty, we've got to fight, we've got to fight to survive. This isn't idealistic; it's nothing. That's the idea. He wants Reaper blood, metaphorically speaking, and you're gonna try to fight that with a sunglasses quote?
Listen, dude, if that quote had come before the ending, because that's a DLC that he actually said that in.
You cannot win 3 times. You can't shoot down anything Mass Effect related 3 times in a row based on the fact that you didn't like the Mass Effect ending.
Him, but I'm just saying it came as a DLC that nobody played because everyone already hated the ending. And
I like that DLC, and I think it was objectively
and
strong.
again, it's just the whole point, especially if you think about the context of what you have to do at the end. The meaning of that quote is really lost. But let me tell you something else.
This will be the third time a Mass Effect related argument has been attempted to be extinguished based on the ending.
Within context, that quote is just lost. You know, if it come, I mean, if that quote was used at the end of like a really good Medal of Honor game, not some of them, a really good one, then it would have been like really prophilic. But coming at Mass Effect 3 and DLC after the ending, and you already know what's going to happen, it just so falls really short. Sunglasses, by the way, is a fantastic quote. Snake, did you like my sunglasses? It's a quote that everybody still asks the voice actor to say to this day. And oh man, I got to meet him, and he was so cool. And I even asked him to say it, and he said it to me.
It's a good moment.
No, it's more
a
than
good
a quote,
moment
because within the context of my game, my quote is elevated so much. Within the context of your game, your quote loses its meaning.
Literally every single race in the entire galaxy in this game had just thrown their fleet against the vague idea that they would win. I think the quote contextually stands. The biggest battle of all observed history had just taken place.
Mass Effect 3, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that was exhausting. But with that being said, Jax, do you have anything fact related?
Fact related, no. These guys bring it. They're really good. I do have to say that the one quote that gave me chills when it was said was Garrett's. So, I mean, Richie was really good at presenting his, but it was kind of like...
You mean your wife? You let your wife play Mass Effect DLC?
No. I wouldn't wish Mass Effect on anyone at this point.
Oh, gotcha. I was gonna say,
I've never heard that.
I didn't think he let anything Mass Effect 3 related in his house.
No.
Not anymore.
Okay.
So I think with that being
Always the
said,
strong arm.
you side mostly with
I'm
Garrett.
siding with Garrett on this one.
So Rich brought the heat when it came to shooting down
He
your
brings
quote.
exclusively heat.
You came in with a very, very good quote. Just and it's outright. You could put Abraham Lincoln at the end of that and trade a trillion. Trade like $1 trillion to like
He's
a few
never.
hundred.
Yeah, 1 trillion people weren't alive, haven't been alive since. But
you could change the
let's
context
quote
of
Lincoln.
it. That's one of those quotes that,
Cyber
like,
Lincoln.
People say when they're supposed to make a poor decision. Rich tore it apart. That was crazy. But with that being said, Rich, that is the most Japanese style cliche quote I've ever heard in a video game. I understand its significance to you, but Garrett Allen wins this round. All right, sorry to tear you both down, but with that being said,
everything was mediocre.
we're moving right along to the next question. Well, we will start with Rich on this one, which you could just kind of continue on with your current statements, and you head right in. But what is the best plot twist in a video game?
Ooh, the best plot twist in a video game. It's kind of similar to the last one, except this one doesn't have any of that cheesy Japanese what have yous in it. I guess you could say BioShock, by the way, is one of the greatest games ever made. And in my opinion, even better than BioShock Infinite, which some people think is better than the first one because they're on drugs. All right, so BioShock, the first one...
We agree on that.
Would you kindly, when you're in the presence of someone else who has played BioShock, if you say, would you kindly...
By the way, spoiler alert. We're talking about endings here.
Spoiler alert. I should say, obviously, we're talking about twists here. Spoiler alert. So, would you kindly, if you talk to any other BioShock fan, they would you kindly? I love that game. Anyway, so it's a bigger twist than Sunglasses. It was in my notes because these could have been interchangeable a little bit. But here's the thing. it's not just that one theme or character changes with this twist. Everything you know is wrong when you get to this. You go through this beautifully made game, Underwater in Rapture, created by Andrew Ryan, who you think at the beginning of the game is just completely corrupt, and it is your goal to stop him. You meet Atlas, who is this supposed propheter of peace, and he wants to bring, unity to Rapture, and he comes to you, he's like, I'm Atlas, I'm Irish, and I'm telling you what to do. So would you kindly go to Ryan's office and destroy him, So you go through all these motions of the game, of course, and then when you finally meet Andrew Ryan, he gives you this, very cool transatlantic speech about how, he's right and he built Rapture for all these reasons. And he gives you a crowbar and he says, now, would you kindly hit me with that crowbar? And, you without even pressing any buttons, you do. And then all of a sudden, all these flashes go through your head that every single thing you've ever done in the game was because Atlas said, well, would you kindly do this? Would you kindly kill the little sister? Would you kindly use Adam to do this? Everything, it's like, whoosh, 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 whoosh. It all flashes and you realize everything that you've been told to do has been with the words, would you kindly? And then you proceed to kill Andrew Ryan. And he goes, this is impossible. In fact, this should have been my best quote. He says, a man chooses, a slave obeys. Twist. And then Fontaine. Oh, sorry. I didn't even get to the best part of the twist. Really quick. Atlas was Fontaine the entire time. After you figure this out and you kill Andrew Ryan, Fontaine was Atlas the entire time. He's the real bad guy and you have to kill him. I'm so articulate.
We gave you an extra 8 seconds because we interrupted you earlier.
Yeah. I felt like I interrupted your momentum a little bit there for a second.
But,
so, asked to give you another 10.
With that being said,
I'm going to beat you. I'm going to beat you fair.
Garrett, what is the best plot twist in a video game?
I'm going to pick one that's, definitely well known and definitely well established with their respective fandom. But this one hit me, and it was Shepard's betrayal in Modern Warfare 2. Because, from an emotional sort of vantage point standpoint, that is, imagine you and your best buddy, your badass buddy that you've been through, all to hell with, is you guys are literally in a house fire, okay? The house is burning down, everything around you, everything you know and love is falling apart, whatnot, you're trying to escape, and you fail to escape, and then your grandpa, who you've known and loved for years, who has fostered you through all of this sort of stuff. He's the one who, is the reason you're here to begin with. Grandpa reaches in and pulls your buddy and you out of the fire. And you're like, oh my God, this is so great. We're going to make it. And then Grandpa takes a 38 special and blows holes in both of you, dumps you in a corner, pours gasoline on you were still alive, and then lights you on fire. That's horrifying. And I think a lot of people affected that one very much as so. And, the art of doing a good twist is so weird. It has to be, you see a lot of games or a lot of ones out there that are like, oh, surprising, but still you still kind of could see it coming if you looked back. And then there's a lot of them that are so impossible they rely on plot holes. Looking at you, Heavy Rain. Anyway, the idea is that this is one that oh man, if you look back, the little cues were there. There was the betrayal was coming, but it was not intricate enough to where it was very, very detectable, and at the same time hit home with the emotions while still maintaining a rooted plausibility that didn't rely on heavily on plot holes. And it's also very simplistic, not overly complicated. It's very, very much just a here's a mentor type. It's like if Obi-Wan turned around and stabbed the shit out of Luke Skywalker. It is effective in its simplicity.
Well, that's good, because you're all done. Now it's time to fight!
Oh my God!
The thing is, I don't expect anything from. I enjoy the first-person shooter aspects of Call of Duty, but I don't expect anything super grand from the plot or characters of Call of Duty.
Yeah, so it was really cool when that happened, right?
I agree that it was a cool twist within Call of Duty, but it's kind of like saying, oh my God, Kermit the Frog took a poop live on the Muppets. It happened. Believe it.
Those are fair comparisons, I'm sure.
It would be shocking.
When did that happen?
No, never. But I'm just saying.
One hell of a twist.
I'm just saying, that's what this is like. It's that's a really cool twist for Call of Duty, but it's you don't play Call of Duty for the stories, at least I don't.
You don't. I thought that was their only redeeming factor. I will admit, bombastic shit on reality action plots.
I think that Modern Warfare 2 is a shining star in the sea of Call of Duty, but I just even then the voice acting and the characterizations are still not up to par with other games of Modern Warfare, and with Modern Warfare 2, and I think that It's just that twist, although again it was surprising, it doesn't have the same effect as in a game like BioShock where you become
Hans Zimmer orchestrated it.
That's cool. Hans Zimmer has made the worst superhero scores of all time.
Oh man, get him!
I mean,
They're great.
Okay, you know, we can get into that argument another time. But
Yeah, right.
Dark Knight trilogy and like Inception, all that is just like. There's a reason why we still remember Tim Burton's da 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 from the '80s Batman, because that was actually good music. Hans Zimmer, but that's a completely different argument.
You just shout out Hans Zimmer and elevated Tim Burton's
Dude,
Batman.
I'm gonna give you 15 seconds to say what you want to say, and then we're done.
Oh my gosh, okay. No, the idea being that, like, you spoke at, like, 300 words a minute for 2 minutes solid and still couldn't get out all the arbitrary details that are necessary for that BioShock. Also, your understanding of the ending depends on, one, you not going to town on the Little Sisters, and then also it understands that a player got all of the audio logs. There's a ton of...
You gotta get all the audio logs.
You do, but they may not, and that may not be an intuitive metric. Somebody who didn't go for a very completionist metric through that game completely loses out on the effect of that ending. Whereas the Modern Warfare ending is very much presented to you. Here it is. Here's unavoidably the characters that you have dealt with this entire time. Here's your mentor. Here's everybody on the same stage. Bam!
I think audio logs help the impact a little bit, but that's still a great twist whether or not you hear those audio logs.
Kinda. I mean, like, you don't know anything about Andrew Ryan's relationship to any of the characters if you don't know the audio logs.
Well, not necessarily.
The clone thing.
Because there are several cutscenes with Tannenbaum and things that kind of bring you up to speed between those audio logs as well. And Derek really looks like he wants to smash that.
Yep.
He's there.
Okay. Well, with that being said, there was some facts in there that I wasn't sure if you were able to catch or if you saw anything.
Some facts. I was actually not really looking fact-wise because I was trusting them.
That's where you went wrong. Oh man.
I was looking.
That doesn't even happen in Modern Warfare. I made the whole thing up. I'm kidding. It very much happens.
I felt like you might have accidentally said Shepard because we were talking about Mass Effect before, so I double checked that.
Shepard.
That is a fair check.
So I did check that, and that was the only fact I actually checked. I looked on a list of best plot twists and all that, and Richie's came up as number one.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like every time.
Yeah, and that's thank you. Very well said. As much as Modern Warfare had a great point, you had a very strong counter to his whole BioShock. Like you have to fight your way through it. Rich, you picked the easy one. It's by far going to Rich. He gets the point.
By far.
That being said, you did an awesome job defending that Modern Warfare title.
You did. Yeah, you did fantastic.
I know, sometimes my adherence not to pick, like, the number one choice, like, I think kind of shoots me in the foot sometimes. But
for a game that relies on, like, that plot twist.
yeah, that was actually kind of Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
There was one fact that if you get a chance to look it up just for my own curiosity, I thought they won Modern Warfare 2 actually won some award for their writing on that one. That was like best. It was really niche, like best shooter, whatever, but it was definitely the best of its time.
IGN
Might have. It didn't come up in my research, but I mean, it could have.
I could have sworn, but neither here nor there. Rich still gets the point.
Yay!
Well, with that being
best action game at E3 2009.
yeah.
Of E3 Best Action Game Critics Award 2009.
There's like 300 E3 awards.
yeah, there's
Yeah, although best
one of those
action is
gonna
like
be
a big
in there.
one, though it is completely not relevant to our argument.
Yes, and with that, we're moving on to something with little to no action, depending on your choice. Starting with Garrett Allen this round.
Ooh.
What is the most replayable video game? I managed to hit it.
If I could go with the franchise, I would pick the XCOM franchise, but I'm going to go with XCOM 2 specifically to narrow it down to a single game. Replayability is kind of a tough one. It's very specific, and what makes a game replayable has changed so much throughout the years because of new technologies and new accessibilities that we have as far as community-based gaming is concerned. XCOM 2 hits all the big points. You got procedural content. Every single time you pull out that game, every single level is going to be different. Every single, major point of progression is going to be different. The overarching sort of story is going to be the same, but you can be guaranteed that every single time you jump through a campaign in that game, it will be nothing like the one before, other than loose sort of like this, the beginning is loosely the same and the ending wraps up similarly. Everything in the middle is a totally different journey. That's a big part of replayability. Second of all, XCOM famous for its custom soldier support. I mean, I do this on stream and we've been doing this for years. Import your friends, import people you know, whatever. Your soldiers are the entire emotional crux of that game, and the game gives you literally free reign to create somebody that you would be attached to. That's a big deal, and it also opens up the door for different kinds of playthroughs involving different groups of people. It has, and the big one of the day, the big one that determines replayability these days, mod support. XCOM 2 was built from the ground up to have a code that was very, very supportive of mod support, and in that you have the idea that, like, okay, cool, even in that eventuality where the community has sucked this game dry of all its content, mod support will be there and has been there since day one to flush out new bits of content, really, really new compelling pieces of game. And all of this kind of comes around to the idea that every single time you press new game, you are going to have a totally new experience from start to finish, something that you can shape and control to define your experience.
Nice.
Before we go to Richie, though, what is XCOM Enemy Within? I don't want to start fact-checking the wrong game.
Oh, XCOM Enemy Within is the prequel to XCOM
2.
So I'm not looking for Enemy Within.
You are not. There's going to be XCOM Enemy
Unknown. Right?
Enemy Unknown. There's going to be XCOM Enemy Within. Those are two expansions of XCOM. There was an XCOM before that, and then they remade it as XCOM Enemy Within, and then there's XCOM 2, which is the most recent one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
XCOM 2.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right. And with that, goes over to you, Rich. You're going to have 2 minutes to tell me
Oh, man, he's been waiting for this one. He's been waiting for this one.
replayable video game is.
I've been waiting a long time to talk to you guys about Chrono Trigger. Not only is it the best game ever, but it is incredibly replayable because every time you play it, you'll have a better understanding of the lore, of the characters, of the incredible dense atmosphere and story. It's just everything about this game is super rich. We're talking about a game that came out in 1995. It was at the very end of the official 2D era, one of the last games on the Super Nintendo. Everybody wants to talk about like all these RPGs that are from the certain eras and everything, but listen, it's kind of objective what comes with 3D, since we're kind of in the middle of still trying to figure that out. This is 2D perfection, and that doesn't even get into why this game is replayable. Jesus Christ. Listen to this, all right? This game has multiple endings, I think about 12, and in order to get these different endings, you have to play the game multiple times, and because you have to play the game multiple times to get multiple endings, that intrinsically makes it replayable, but you're going to want to replay this game anyway, just because there's so many different things you can do, even not counting the multiple endings. There's just so many different side quests and multiple different places to go, and this is a game where you can time travel between different times. You can go in the deep past and the deep future. You can go to just a few weeks ago. There's set times that you can go to, but it's all like really important times. You go traveling right on dinosaurs. You can go into the future, or you can go to a time period where there's an ancient race that lives in the clouds, which is where the whole story with the bad guy takes place, but that's another story. But the point, and then you could go into the apocalypse, where you literally try to destroy the beast, So there's this game just like literally has everything. We're not even talking about all the game mechanics where you could team up with another guy to do like a cross action thing. I go for hours about the battle system in this game. But the reason why this game is replayable is just because it's so damn fun. Has literally one of the best soundtracks of any video game. The music is reused in Square Enix games because it's so good, and it just is this incredible story. I was done anyway.
Yeah, you finished it. You kind of finished on it. Usually Derek has a way of interrupting us mid-sentence.
Yep. Well, it's fine.
So this is very interesting because here we are disposed on two very different ideological fronts. Games. I am talking very much about a technical sort of triumph, and you are talking very much about a story-related triumph. So right out the gate, I'm going to point out that yours is objectively way more subjective. And I mean, that's
subjectively way more subjective.
It is objectively way more subjective. Okay. Anyway, an argument at you as a judge commonly level against people and namely Adam Evans the other week, was I think you did a good job telling us why you enjoyed such and such, but I don't think you did a good job displaying why such and so would tell. I mean, I've heard you say that, and I'm going to go ahead and
you want to know why it's good to everyone? Because overall, this game again and again and again on lists of greatest RPGs of all time and lists of just games of all time overall is definitely at least in the top 5, if not on number 1.
It's a good game, and it's a long game.
And it was one of the first games to take part in this multiple ending construct, especially for such a large JRPG that takes at least 20 hours to beat. You got to go through 20 hours and then just do a few things, some things that may be super subtle, by the way. You got to go to like this outside town that's like, well, oh, I didn't even know that this town existed.
That's sort of the problem.
Side quest that I didn't even know existed to trigger this one ending, and then if I want to get the ending that's better than that one, I got to do this and this. And I'm just saying, like, you'll be playing this game for hundreds of hours before
that
you can
doesn't
really
hold up to modern attention spans. Not only that, but that's the point of like an XCOM or a modern game. Is my experience in the middle is completely divergent. I mean, Chrono Trigger, good game, but its replayability is basically forcing you to digest 98% of the same game over and over again. Maybe a few details rearranged with a few details. And again, it's good. But is that really replayability?
I actually disagree. I think that people's attention spans are getting bigger again. Like, yeah, there was a time in the mid to late 2000s where people were like, oh, I just want to pick up a first-person shooter and kill some dudes. But you know what? I think that with the advent of like bigger games, like Fallout 4 sold more copies than I think at least any other Bethesda game. I think it definitely broke records. Sold like 17 million copies on its first night, I want to say. It proves that people are coming back to big, huge RPGs. And people's attention spans are bigger now than you might give them credit for, because our generation is getting older and we're able to afford more video games.
And that's, I mean, the Fallout 4 point is fair, but also Fallout 4 it's inherently open world and divergent. At the end of the day, it's not Fallout 4 doesn't force you to go tread the same path with just a few minute changes in the process of a replay.
Well, yeah, but actually Chrono Trigger was pretty open for its time. At least compared to Final Fantasy. In fact, it was supposed to be a Final Fantasy game, but they made it its own thing, especially after Akira Toriyama came involved, and the artwork was completely different also. But it's just, its whole setup is completely different, and it's so much more open, and I love Final Fantasy, but it is on rails, and Chrono Trigger is so much more open.
It comes from an era where everything was on rails, and I know it was open for its time, but
Chrono Trigger is why we have like big RPGs. Right?
I realize that, but like based on just sheer metrics of memory limitations at the time, how you compare to something that nowadays, like literally I can go into XCOM, I can load in every single person in this room and then throw in a mod where we're all wearing Halo armor, and if that's what I want to do for that playthrough, XCOM goes, fine, great, let's do it. Right now, no questions.
Well, see, it sounds like XCOM is a great game that you can play a lot with your friends, but if you're just by yourself, let's pretend your internet's busted. What are you going to play, XCOM or Chrono Trigger?
The multiplayer on XCOM is versus only. XCOM's real claim to fame is the idea that it throws divergent enemies at you through a emergent campaign. That is, its single player is its claim to fame. It has almost no context in multiplayer.
I think I had much more to say, but that's okay.
It's Chrono Trigger. We could have talked all night.
I might come back around. I got a couple questions. Jax, do you have anything?
Okay, so I searched for replayability, the best replayable games. Chrono Trigger came up a lot, but it was a lot of people talking about nostalgia. And so maybe my vote is going to go to Garrett, because I think that Richie chose it because of nostalgia.
So what?
But
you're a 90s kid, right? You're a 90s kids?
You're a 90s kid when?
Yep. What do you like?
Hi guys, I was born in 1987.
Makes you 90s.
The argument,
because you grew up in the 90s.
The argument for Chrono Trigger is very, very extravagant on the internet. There's a lot of...
It's got a bit of a following, for sure.
I will admit that I picked it for nostalgia reasons, but I was arguing for this question.
So, and that's...
hard to bridge that technologically.
That's where it comes down to. So, there's a couple points that you guys were throwing back and forth that all it was subjective. Like, it wasn't... There was nothing...
The whole show is...
No, I know, but I will say there was nothing based in reality, like attention spans getting longer. That's still statistically false. So sorry about that. This is a knock against you. But then a knock against Garrett as far as how Fallout 4 is built. It's built very much the same as Chrono Trigger. It's that you have this linear path and you can kind of wherever you want, and that's what makes it fun. So I will fight you on that. I mean, in that regard, because it is built like a game. All games have a beginning, middle, and end.
The main quest.
So so under its nature, that's where you guys both had hits against you. The interesting one on that is I actually did not remember I had played Chrono Trigger.
Oh yeah.
Until you mentioned it the first time on the show.
Oh.
And so I know what you're saying on both accounts. I own XCOM.
This would be a really awkward time to be like, I didn't get it.
I didn't understand it at all.
I played
really
it, and it was like the thing, and it was time travel in 2080 and the frog, and I don't know. Anyway.
But that being said, just on sheer replayability, Rich, you talked about why you liked it. Not why I could play it again. So this one's got to go to Garrett. Disappointed. Sorry.
Chrono Trigger.
I was like, oh, he really likes this. He's missing the point. All right.
That's a tough one. I mean, like, video games are that argument demonstrates an interesting reality that video games have gotten to a point where the bridging capacities of technologies have created so many like divergent cultural questions.
Yeah, it's just all over.
So,
but
for another time.
Final question before the speed round, and we're all tied up.
Speaking of historical context,
2-2. I picked this one.
You did.
I made this question up.
That's good.
And speaking of historical context in video games, Rich, what is the best video game based on a historical event?
Okay, so this is a really exciting category, and I'm so glad.
I liked this category a lot. I thought this was a very good question, Derek.
Derek came up with this question. Brilliant. Brilliant. All right, so Oregon Trail 2 is definitely the best historical game of all time. A lot of people consider the greatest historical game of all time to be Oregon Trail 1. However, with Oregon Trail 2, which debuted on the Windows operating system, it took everything that was great about the first Oregon Trail and just made it better. It added some RPG elements. Now you could choose your wagon at the beginning of the game. You could purchase a huge variety of tools and food at different towns and forts, and you could get weighed down. Like, if you weighed too much, it would affect how you crossed rivers and streams and hills and stuff. It was super intricate and had some crazy crap going along with it. You could get more. You got way more options when you were doing all those things too. It wasn't just like, would you like to caulk the wagons in a float, or would you like to? There was like 20 options for what you could do at each pass, and it was very realistic on how you went about choosing your trail on the Oregon Trail. In the original game, it's kind of just like, try to make it to Oregon. But here, depending on what you do, you could either split off and go to the California Trail. You could do the Washington Trail. It was all of the real frontier trails that were happening at the time, not just the Oregon Trail. And your options for that would change depending on what year you choose, because you could choose any year from 1840 to 1860 to go on your Oregon Trail adventure. And it was just super intricate with how it did things. And if you know anything about me, you know that I love micromanaging. And the thing is with this, I don't know. I remember I had almost all my friends owned Oregon Trail 2 also, because when you're in the computer lab at school, at least in my day, they had Oregon Trail 1 that you played in there and everything. It's like, hey guys, you want to go to my house afterwards and play Oregon Trail 2? It's way better. And just like everybody really loved Oregon Trail 2 when it came out. It had a really surprisingly great soundtrack too. I don't own the music, so I can't sing it more, but and then had voice acting. It was like one of the first games, at least one of the first games that I played that actually had real voice acting that didn't sound like like crap. It was very well recorded and very well put in. Oregon Trail 2.
Yes.
He has a way of finishing the words.
Yeah, he hits the sentence. He hits the period every time.
Right. That's experience, folks. That's the gleam sitting face of experience.
So over to you. What is the best video game based on a historical event?
This historical event is familiar to all of us. It's World War II, and I'm going for Company of Heroes. So, the RTS franchise has historically missed the mark as far as really good immersion is concerned. Enter Company of Heroes, strong counter commentary to that whole sort of thing. You get the commander's point of view, and it focused on a small, the kind of the truer nature of combat, and the idea that small squads moving across very much civilian terrain, and this game succeeded in making every single scene in it, even though most were skirmish matches and unscripted events. I mean, you could pan out and every single one of them looked like something you saw on the History Channel or a documentary or something, and all of that sort of stuff. The technology behind this game was very good. I mean, they spent above and beyond the amount of time that a normal RTS does in creating little details. Animations and sound really stick out, and the idea that they so clearly wanted you to be able to kind of experience the down-to-earth grit of the pain of these units. Normal RTS, out there, StarCraft, is a good example, has the unit has been created, a unit has been lost, I am out of supplies, sort of like, visual keywords. The Company of Heroes goes above and beyond that even more. They're swearing, there's racial slurs being thrown in the trenches, there's dudes, if you send a unit up forward and they're like, all of a sudden German machine gun fires on, they'll yell racial slurs, they'll jump back into the pit, and everything sounds like a radio sort of broadcast. It really puts you in that position of you're a commander. These are your troops, and you hear the fear in their voice. Everything is based in this strong historical context. The animations, you see the pain. Models blow apart realistically, and it's gruesome and whatnot. And it sets the stage for you really beginning to kind of see the broader context of like the suffering that was capacity in World War II. Very much a technological feat in that regard, and the fact that here's modern technology.
Oh shit.
Thank you. Almost missed it. I was writing notes.
Yeah, right?
I do have a follow-up question.
Okay.
A Fallout question?
Yes. Welcome to the follow-up.
You were tearing into it earlier. I can't.
For Garrett.
Okay.
Where was it? Never mind. Fight!
All right, the problem with Company of Heroes, Garrett,
We'll pause for a second before you tear into me. I gotta have another collective moment. Here we are again. Nostalgia.
Right.
A very modern technology piece, a very old nostalgia piece. But let's see how this goes.
Okay, but here's the
Proceed.
thing. Oregon Trail 2 is historically accurate. And Company of Heroes, unfortunately, suffers from historical inaccuracies. In fact,
how so?
In fact, there's a big topic. I looked up just for fun. I typed in Company of Heroes historical inaccuracies, and I came up with like a ton of stuff on Google. People are actually really pissed at this series. There are Russians that are like yelling at this game because apparently there were some levels that painted Russians in a really bad light, and they were like really pissed. They're like, this didn't actually happen, and the company was like, oh, whoops, sorry. And it's not just the first game. It's like all the games in this Company of Heroes series. I guess there's 3 of them.
Yeah, right. Well, there's 2 in a bunch.
And just here's the thing: you didn't even pick the best historical RTS, which is Age of Empires 3. And Company of Heroes didn't you talk about the swearing and that was cool, but it was set in World War II, so it kind of went with the context of the setting. But if we're just talking about best historical game, and you picked an RTS, but Age of Empires was such a more great and diverse RTS that took historical.
I think Age of Empires was maybe a better RTS.
Yeah,
but how does it tell the story?
Well, it was definitely a better RTS. Oh, there's multiple stories. In Age of Empires 3,
there's a stick. There's a guy who runs up and they shoot arrows. No, a castle, and then that castle's on fire, and then it goes down.
It was also the narrative, and Age of Empires 3 also introduced this really cool FMV system into the game and everything. So I just feel like you didn't even pick the best historical RTS. But if we're talking about
this one is technologically leaked. Was there a cover system?
I just feel like Company of Heroes was basically Tiberian Sun with a World War II skin on it and slightly updated. It really didn't improve upon that
system. Did you play Tiberian Sun?
I loved Tiberian Sun.
It was dope, but it was not even close to the same game.
They tweaked a few things and reskinned some
There's
stuff.
A whole cover system. It's a totally differment scale of battle. It's a totally different resource system.
But it's basically had that same kind of feel.
It's closer. If anything, it's built on the engine of Warhammer 40K's Dawn of War.
But even talking schematics, we already have so many great World War II games. The first few Call of Duty games, Medal of Honor series. When it comes to historical games, I think that everyone thinks of Oregon Trail, at least the first Oregon Trail, because what other games covered the Oregon Trail but Oregon Trail? And Oregon Trail 2 was so rich in that Old West history, and again, it's just Company of Heroes was set in World War II, but did we really learn anything new about World War II in Company of Heroes? I don't think so.
like at the end of the day, is Oregon Trail capable of telling anywhere near the historical context of it? Oregon Trail
you learned so much more about that time in that trail in Oregon Trail 2 than you ever did, and it doesn't sugarcoat anything in Oregon Trail 2. It tells you everything that happened. You know, you go to the guys like, don't go towards the Donner Pass. A family there just ate each other. You know, it's like oh shit. You know?
I think we all kind of knew that happened though.
Yeah, well, I mean, because we live in California.
Donner,
so,
party of 5. Oh, I'm sorry, it's party of 4.
Wait, 3.
Yes.
And does that we're
Perfect ending point. Fat Cam, do you have anything? I'm being assaulted with pencils.
It's gonna get
Fat
intense.
Cam says that everybody was pretty accurate with their facts.
Good work, Fat Cam. 10 out of 10, Fat Cam.
Thank you, Fat Cam.
Thank you, Fat Cam. All right. You know, this was hard because I played both of them again, which thank God, because otherwise this would be way one-sided to Company of Heroes. I love that game.
Yeah, right.
But the Oregon Trail, I remember not being able to play it when I was younger.
Oh, shit.
Because of it was too realistic.
Oh,
which is
it scared you with the faces?
Well, not me, but my mom was like, "What the hell is this?" I'm like,
you want to die in dysentery on a trail? Yeah, like that whole kind of
"That's
thing.
exactly it." And so,
okay. I see.
It's so weird to think about that was realism at one point.
yeah, it was,
Yeah.
and at the time, it was huge. And Rich has a great point with that. The other things he did bring up, as far as the weight mechanics, the options for the tools, the options available to you, just as far as what directions you can go, it really took what could have very easily turned into a joke with like the original Oregon Trail, and it ended up painting this great historical picture at the time. Being a World War II history buff myself, Company of Heroes was also a great idea of what the battlefield was like.
Yeah, the sort of aromatic experience of battle.
Huge.
Yeah.
But it missed the mark on the time period. So with that being said, Rich gets the point.
It's worth mentioning that I was going to pick Oregon Trail, and Rich beat me to the punch by about 3 minutes.
Well, you're only down by 3, and that brings us into the speed round.
And now that I've won, I can say I love Company of Heroes.
I know, right? That game was dope. And you know what? I mean, like, it's funny because we as a generation so much give a shit about the Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
And it's literally because of that game.
Yep.
And there's no denying that.
Here lies Poopy.
I had to try so hard not to bring that up because it's like no one would give a crap about that point in history if it wasn't for or that specific very one close thing that happened if it weren't for that game.
Oh, I know.
All right.
It's so great. No notes for speed round.
No notes for speed round.
Here we go.
And as a brief reminder, speed
I
round.
didn't even know the speed round questions. I'm so excited.
Oh, yeah.
This is
Yeah,
good.
really,
I came up with
Derek.
them
Yeah.
Minutes ago. So the good news about the speed round is it's 20 seconds. Each person will have a chance. I will give them an option. I will give them. Stop asking my questions.
I'm not pointing them away from you. You keep putting them in my sight.
Sorry. I will give everybody the question. Whoever answers first gets to use that answer. The second person either has to default to whatever answer is left or come up with their own.
Can't pick the same answer.
Can't pick the same answer. 20 seconds each person. 10-second rebuttals.
Okay.
That is all. Are you ready?
Based on who answers first.
Ready for the first question?
Dude, I gotta do backwards cap for this.
Backwards cap.
Backwards cap.
Back cap.
We get a little like Pokemon up close to him of dun 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 dun, really close to the eye.
Yes.
Something else.
Take the whole snowball.
Speed round. I choose you. Yeah, right. Pikachu.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
Ready.
Which is the best arena shooter? In quotes.
Unreal
I'm
Tournament.
not done.
It's multiple choice, right?
Multiple choice.
Okay.
Shit. All right.
Unreal Tournament or Counter-Strike.
Unreal Tournament.
That works out well.
Okay.
All right, Garrett. It's going to you.
Unreal Tournament
I'm
was.
just kidding. Because Rich said Counter-Strike first. You just said Unreal Tournament before. I messed up. Rich, 20 seconds. Ready? Go.
Counter-Strike is such a great evolution of what Valve had to offer with their initial system. They did Half-Life, which was undeniably the greatest first-person shooter at that time, and then used that same engine to create Counter-Strike, which at the time was the greatest arena shooter of all time, and arguably, since we're here at this moment, is still the greatest one ever done.
Time. Garrett?
It's an apples to oranges sort of comparison, but Unreal Tournament had so much eye candy going on. I mean, as far as the ability to get in there and make the game your own, customized gravity, the sheer variety of weapons that were literally nothing like each other. Counter-Strike, but its realism was almost a hamperism on the ability that it was able to... Unreal Tournament offered such a crazy variety of different ways to blow people up.
Rich, rebuttal, 10 seconds.
Nobody actually likes the Unreal Tournament. They just like the Unreal Engine that was created for it, that they've used for multiple games ever since. Everybody loves Counter-Strike. It's an American treasure. They've remade it with the Counter-Strike source, and that's
time. Garrett, 10 seconds. If you want it.
Yeah, I want it.
Ready?
Go. It's been remade, but remade without a ton of variety. Unreal Tournament, on the other hand, which I argue has been extremely popular in certain circles, has seen a lively number of remakes that add new content every single time.
Almost got the sentence.
Yeah.
That was a good try. Jax, I gotta go to you. What do you feel on this one?
I've never played either of these games, so literally, like, looking up facts, it was in another language. So,
But
You know what? I was gonna
alone.
say the Russians like Counter-Strike, and in general, I think you're gonna find a much more involved following online for Counter-Strike. It's gonna be in Russia though.
We're doing the arguments. Who had the better 30-second argument?
I think Richie did.
Okay. Perfect. Because that's hard. Because that moves me to the next one. Rich, American treasure is not an appropriate fact in order to dispute your game. I gotta give it to Garrett. He brought actual things to the argument.
What?
It's an American treasure, damn it!
It is an American treasure. All right.
But that's all right. It's good news.
That ties it up. All right, shit.
It's all tied up.
So what are we still doing first to 5?
First to 5, 3 to 3.
Oh boy, here we go, buddy.
I hope we
Here
don't
we
get to my
go.
last question because it's not very good.
Oh man, every time.
All right. Is this next one multiple choice also?
Oh yeah,
Yes,
you
and
should
it's
specify.
short.
You should specify.
I'm so sorry. So,
Yeah. I hadn't
multiple
thought of
choice,
that.
and it's very short.
Okay.
Just Cause 3 or Far Cry 4?
Far Cry
4.
Rich with the Far Cry 4 whenever you're ready.
Far Cry 4 is a vast improvement in the Far Cry series. Not only did we have great games in Far Cry 3 and Blood Dragon, Far Cry 4 takes all of that and goes like this, because it has smoothed out all of the problems and all the graphical problems, all the glitches, even the skill tree is improved in Far Cry 4. Everything that you loved about Far Cry is better in Far Cry 4. They took an already great game and made it better.
It's pretty good at the end. You ready?
Yeah. So Just Cause 3 is something that stands alone hugely in its own right. There's literally no other game like that franchise, but especially Just Cause 3. Same argument, it takes the same mechanics that made the other ones better and produce something that is distinct to that series. A sandbox shooter, a physics sandbox action movie simulator, I would dare go so far as to call it. Something that hasn't been recreated in any other game.
Rebuttal?
Just Cause 3 wasn't even as good as Just Cause 2. It didn't have the same fun factor. It missed out on a lot of the opportunities to improve things from the first two games, and was just overall a disappointment.
Garrett?
That's a subjective statement because Just Cause 3 brought a lot more bombastic stuff to the table. The hovercraft, the crazy jetpack stuff, new and improved, the thruster things so you could attack people.
Balloons.
Man. Jax, how'd that make you feel?
Constipated.
Stressed out. Stressed out.
This is like the first real
Speak up.
speed round.
Yep.
I vote Garrett on this one.
You vote Garrett.
I do.
Goes to Garrett. That means it's down to me. Ooh.
Although he has not typically gone with Jax this round. I mean, someone else is keeping track. I think he's voted against Jax more times than 4.
Sorry?
I'm just trying to create. I'm trying to create arbitrary.
What are you trying to
tension.
stew up here?
I'm trying to create arbitrary tension. Is what this is.
Here's my favorite out of the two. I would do Just Cause, but
Yeah.
Just Cause.
But I'm just looking at the arguments. Your rebuttal was entirely subjective. I gotta give this one to Garrett. Sorry, man.
No.
It's all right.
You know what that means?
Garrett's ahead by a
Garrett's only
point.
one away.
That's right. If he wins this question, he wins.
Now this one's a little interesting. I don't know how you guys are gonna like it. This is
I liked him so far.
this is a multiple choice.
Okay.
So let me finish the entire question. Including titles not yet created or released.
Oh boy.
You only have to play, or you're only able to play, a fantasy genre or a space genre for the rest of your life. That's the only genre of game you can play for the rest of your life. Which would you pick?
Space!
Well, that worked out well. And Rich, because you had that clearly with fantasy.
Okay. With fantasy, you have games all over the place, from the Elder Scrolls to Zelda to Fable to all these great classical fantasy games. With space, there's a few good ones, and even like Star Wars games aren't that good anymore. It's fantasy games gotta hold up. With games like the Elder Scrolls, it is all about fantasy. I love space games when they're good, but they're better there.
The way you trail off to finish.
There's something else.
And Garrett, are you good with space?
Of course, I love space. All right, and go. So here's the interesting thing about the sci-fi genre is it has a lot of overlap with fantasy, which isn't necessarily reciprocated. What is magic? Magic is just a sufficiently advanced technology that is not understood in conventional terms. Opening up space and science fiction, you can explore tropes of both genres. You can explore technology that's so advanced that it virtually is magic, technomancy, etc.
With the exception of Star Wars, space games don't even sell as well as fantasy games. There's a reason why there's more fantasy games than space games, and people just love the exploration of the fantasy world. J.R.R. Tolkien games.
Time!
Star Wars is a space game. I know, it's a simplistic argument. But at the end of the day, there's way more variety in there, and so on. And those games prove to be far more timeless in their delivery and far more flexible. No one wants to play the same thing over and over again for their life.
That was a bit of a bigger stretch there.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I took one breath. I did it one breath.
Just at the end. Jax, how do you feel?
I have no opinion.
Oh,
Wow.
shoot.
None at all.
I don't. They were both very good.
Okay. Well, it's back to me. This one was easy. Rich had it in the bag.
Ooh.
Whee! There was no question to that. He came out the gate stating games that were space games that were good. Followed that up by shooting down that like space just doesn't have a lot of good titles. Followed that up with Tolkien, which is all he would have had to say.
Tolkien!
Which is all he had. That's all he would have had to say.
Not a ton of good Tolkien games,
And
though.
you just yelled Star Wars.
I did, but that was kind of the joke.
Yeah, no, I got it. But jokes don't win you points, guys.
That was kind of the
Jokes
joke.
don't win points.
We're here for points.
That means it comes down to this one.
Man,
question.
we've taken it.
Oh,
Buddy,
man.
this has been so fun.
This has been... Good luck, guys.
Nobody. Oh, here we go.
Good luck, guys.
We run that one.
You're on this one.
All right.
This is so good. I can't. Yeah, I love the idea that this one got to the very, very last round.
One last question, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Shoot.
Who would win in a fight? No, okay.
All right. So this
Garrett.
is an interesting one. You are... And it's...
Wait. State the nature of the question.
Not
Wait.
multiple choice.
Not multiple choice.
Open-ended?
Pick your own
Open-ended.
shit.
Pick your
Okay.
own. But let me finish the whole question because it gets a little brutal. You are required to play a console, not PC, for 2 hours a day for the rest of your life, but you can only play one. Which console do you play?
PlayStation 4.
Super Nintendo.
Garrett got off the gate first. Super and Rich. You ready?
Yeah, okay. So PlayStation 4 has a huge variety of things, not to mention I love the VR plus the motion trackers. PlayStation 4 offers a huge compendium of modern technologies that you can use to play the games. Be it, the motion controls, be it the VR, be it that. Not to mention every single major budget title that comes through that is really, there's a strong overlap for PC in terms of big budget releases. So I think between those three, I could get the closest the experience to my preferred console.
I'd hate to spend the rest of my life playing subpar VR on something that's not even as good as a PC when I could play the best of the 2D generation on the Super Nintendo, where literally all of my favorite games live. And the reason why I would pick the Super Nintendo, even above those reasons, just because it's a perfect system. It had a big collection of really good games. Capcom, Konami, Square, they were...
Time! Rebuttal.
Yeah, it's really hard to not pick a modern console because it shoehorns you out of so many things that we've come to expect out of games. Large worlds, open-ended content, 3D games, everything that I love and enjoy about gaming comes down to needing those things.
You got an extra second. It's took a minute. Sorry.
Okay. Literally, I would be miserable with something like a PS4 because it would just remind me of all the great classic games that I couldn't play that I could play on the Super Nintendo. Games like Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger, Super Mario World, games that perfected their genres, and it's the only one I ever need to play.
Man, once again, we have found ourselves in an old versus new sort of square off.
being put in this situation.
So, this is gonna be crazy, but I'm gonna go with Garrett.
Ooh.
Although, I really didn't like that you didn't say that there's so much, like on the PlayStation Store, that you can buy that is in Richie's games, that are Richie's games.
Not exactly on the PS4. On the PS3, there's a lot on the virtual network. There's not as much on the PS4.
Probably buy them.
He didn't bring any of that up, though.
He did not.
No.
He missed.
I was under the impression that was only PS3.
But I think that Richie had the harder.
Yeah,
I feel less bad because you picked it.
Yeah.
I handicapped myself.
Well,
Yes, you did.
But in the end, I am going to Garrett.
Okay. Because that was hard, because I was leaning with Rich.
You don't have to agree with Jackie.
That's been a theme. So, I'm going to state the good points that I had out of both everybody's system, and then maybe that'll help ease my mind here at the end. So, Garrett had a point with modern tech. Well, with modern tech, you also run into the problems with modern tech. Like, sometimes the game's not running and going into the issues like that. So, I had a blessing and a curse on that one. You brought in some subjective points when you started saying this is my favorite, this is why I would want it, which I get, that was kind of the question, but you're trying to pitch me on why I would want that too. You did have a point with open and large worlds. There's almost every major title is available on the PS4, which as far as like what you would like to play. But I find myself often going back to like the classic ones where you're just scrolling around and shooting because it's something simple, it's not stressful. And if you're required to play it 2 hours a day, I could see that you would just kind of fall into a lull other than just seeing if you could get a high score on some Mario thing. So I ran into that with Rich. He really, with the Super Nintendo's, and by all means, correct with, it was the best of the 2D. That's where it peaked, and then they found the N64 that could do 3D, and it was
gone.
Off and away from there.
Right. That was the last big hurrah of that movement.
They had some good games, but you don't have that day to day. So, oh man, this is probably the hardest decision I've had. Let me know your decision in the comments, because mine's going to be wrong no matter what I say. But on this one, I have to go with Rich.
Wow, that surprised me. I thought you were going to go with Garrett.
Nope. By far, the points you brought up, having good classic games that were something that you could sit down and easily play with the best of what they had to offer at the time. I still think PS4 is still in that kind of experimental phase.
To your credit, there's one thing that I would say that you didn't bring up, and that was the idea that, like, you know what you get. The era of this console has come and passed.
That's true.
Every single point of this console, there is no question. The PlayStation 4 could flop tomorrow. You know, the PSN could go down, and, you know, like all this sort of stuff, and like the VR could not pan out, and like all this these sort of things.
Only had another 10 seconds.
I know, right? But yeah, but at the end of the day, you know, we trade off the idea of like, here's modern technology, here's the modern scope of what constitutes enjoying games versus the known, and both those can be valuable.
But that being said, Rich wins! Rich did it! Congratulations, Rich! You are the winner of your own game, which is, I know, going to grind some gears. But that
I think he earned that one. I don't even feel a tiny bit bad about that.
That was tough.
That was a hard one. I set myself. I came up with these. Why am I
right?
But with that being said, I would like to thank you all for dealing with me being the temporary host. I'm sorry I'm not.
You're really good.
Smooth and as saucy as Ritual Maker Alvarez. That being said,
you give him good questions too.
I'll toss it over to him so he can say goodbye and good night, and we will see you next time.
I just want to say, even though I won, we were both winners.
That was awesome, dude.
That was the most fun I've had in a long time.
That was heated. That was intense. I feel like both of us brought a lot to the table, and I love the idea that it was ding, 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 all the way down to like a final decision, and even then the last decision was
You know, that's how you want a movie fights. You don't want it one-sided the whole time.
No, that was good. Yep. And I consider you're somebody who I consider to be extreme. I hold your opinion in extremely high regard. I think you're an expert in your field, and I am humbled by the idea that I could stand toe-to-toe with you. It was truly
that was awesome.
You did good. You did good. You fought well. Do you want to sign us off?
Yeah, guys, thanks again for watching Video Game Fights. This has been a blast. Thanks for watching our first 1v1 Ultimate match. This will be like movie fights, or Video Game Fights Ultimate right here. I'm looking at this one. Hey, everything I just said, but this way.
I like having the monitor, by the way.
I know. It looks
Yeah,
good.
right. We can see ourselves this time. That's a new thing.
Yeah, thanks again. Again, if you like movie fights on Screen Junkies, this is obviously inspired by that, but we're doing video game fights, and it's a lot of fun. This was probably the most fun I've had on it so far, and I wasn't even doing my usual thing. And thanks to Derek once again for being the guest judge.
Absolutely.
And this guy was awesome. You didn't see it. Oh, maybe you could see the mouse right there. This man was changing the camera angles and being the judge at the same time. So you got to give this man Derek Colson some major props right now. Everybody give him a big round of applause. All right, so why don't we go around the table and shout out to our favorite social media. Let's start with Jackie though, since she's all back there.
Jax.
I heard you make things.
I am Jax, and I make things. You can find my Etsy at jaxmakesthings.etsy.com because I make things.
Yes.
Buy poker chips.
And this is Garrett.
Yeah, I do things and stuff. Most notably, my biggest web project is on my Twitch channel, which is The Complaint Department. Love to see you there. We cover grand strategy and science as more or less a field. And then also, I have a heavy involvement with Meow and this channel. But most of you guys already know about that.
Well, other than the Rich Alvarez channel, which is what you're watching right now, you can also find me on Instagram at Rich Malvarez, Rich M. Alvarez. And please follow me on Instagram because, hey, I like it when people follow me around. And, if you're into cosplay and you're into conventions and anime and everything otaku.
If you're into it was just Taco Tuesday.
Please follow Online Cosplay Central on Instagram. It's a great little Instagram where it brings you all the best cosplays from all around the world. Derek, is there anything else you want to say?
Nope, I think we're good to go.
Okay. Well then, that's it. Thanks for watching Video Game Fights. I love you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Am I going to do it again?
Goodbye.
Nope. Oh, I was looking at the wrong camera again.
Thank you for watching Video Game Fights. Let us know in the comments below what you thought of this episode, and watch this video because it's really sweet.